Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Two Men in Black and White. Let's get right down to it. The National Guard being deployed in Los Angeles. It's happening as we speak. Brock Ganeles joins me from the safe and beautiful confines of the Hudson River Valley, just outside New York City. Brock, okay, we were kind of sort of asking for it. They were firing those non-lethal pellets, but they still hurt like hell last night. Where do we go from here? The Trump administration is out of their fucking minds. This is crazy.
Okay. Wait, we got so much to unpack on this topic.
Woo!
We've moved to. I mean, I hate to say it, like we're getting to the place that I wanted us to get to, and I know, and I read commentary, and I read everyone being like, "Oh, everything's got to be peaceful, and there's a right way to do everything," but. We've been saying for 120 days now that it's been too docile. So, okay, the temperature's been turned up a little bit. Okay, Trump, quote, wanted this. That's like one of the themes out there. He wanted this. He wants to call in the troops. He wants to call in martial law. I kind of question the premise. Is he really the taco, right? Does Trump really think this is a winning play for him to call in, of course, illegally, not that he cares about that, right? To call in troops to do, in essence, law enforcement. Now, I know they're going to pretend like it's an insurrection and that it has to be.
Yeah.
But does Trump really want this? Because if this showdown goes sideways and the American people go against the deployment of troops, he's kind of fucked. There's no coming back from that. You've now looked weak in front of your own people. So it's hard to step down from this once he steps into it.
Right.
It's not like a tariff war that doesn't affect anyone, this and that, right? Like you've turned up, and God forbid one of these troops fires a weapon. Like, he really wants this shit? Like, he really thinks this is going to intimidate the rest of America into laying low and saying, oh, you know what, you're right, we're fine with fascism, you win. Like, all of America is going to lay down.
Right.
Because he, like, bullied L.A., right? I just feel like this is a landmine for Trump. And yeah, Hegseth and Stephen Miller are talking shit and making noise and this and that. And Homan says he's going to arrest Karen Bass and all this shit. But I feel like this is not an escalation that they want. What are they going to win in the end? They get to deport people? Did he get to deport people? Like, does he really think he's going to intimidate the American people by deploying the troops? I just wonder what you think, because the commentary I'm reading is like almost like a fearfulness. Like, oh, this is what Trump wanted. He's going to declare martial law. How would martial law even happen in America?
Right.
There's not enough troops to get everywhere. The country's too big. There's too many people. You can't do it.
No. And here's the thing. He doesn't have the predicate to do it. Right? The legal statute that they're quoting doesn't even fit. He didn't meet any of the standards. Right? And it has to be called in by the governor. Governor Newsom is never going along with this. Governor Newsom is calling it for what he's calling balls and strikes. He's saying this is all BS. You know, it's a dog and pony show. He wants a spectacle, and that's what this has become. And he's doing it at the expense of our people. Now, again, God forbid an American citizen gets killed, right? Like, okay, that's going to rile up a real hornet's nest, right? Now you're in LA. And let me tell you something, all right? Anybody knows anything about the Hispanic community in Los Angeles, all right? They're deep, right? Meaning they have big numbers, okay? They outnumber the African-American population there, right? And they are very well connected, from the highest members of society to those who ICE really does not want to deal with. Right? And I'm telling you right now, I will be shocked if these families don't come together and start protecting their own by any means necessary. It just is what it is in the Hispanic community. They are not afraid. Okay? They are not afraid. and they're not going to watch their mothers, fathers, grandparents, children get disappeared off LA streets and not fight back. And it's going to get ugly quickly.
Yeah, I think Trump thinks that he had to pick a blue state, right?
Right.
To do this
Right.
to bully a blue state. He wouldn't be pulling this shit in Arkansas, right? On Sarah Huckabee Sanders, but he's kind of going after Newsom among others. I feel like they're putting the troops. Well, first of all, have the troops actually hit the streets in LA?
Yes.
National Guard's troops are, because I was looking, I've been searching online and I see ICE. So, because I had a first skepticism that the National Guard troops were actually going to get deployed. You're telling me
Right.
they're actually deployed now.
That's what I saw in a local broadcast.
Okay. So to me, because my appeal to the National Guardsmen is, are you really taking this assignment? Because, call in sick, like come up with an excuse, like, do you really want to be there? Do you think this is this why you joined the National Guard? And are you willing? Are you carrying your firearm with you? Answer's probably yes. Are you fucking willing? Use that firearm against other Americans. Are you really going down there with that in your head that I'm going to have to shoot some people down? You think you're going to go live in polite life like you're going to be like that fucking a-hole from 60 years ago getting interviewed after the Kent State shootings, right?
Right.
Like, dude, like that's who
Remember
you're going
him?
to be the rest of your life. Like,
Yes.
You're going to be someone who gunned down American citizens. Like, you really think this is going to play out well for you and your family and the legacy for the rest of your life? You're going to sleep at night? So, like,
There's no
what are
way.
you doing? Like, it's an unlawful deployment. Like, is this, you got to, I would think, time to be a conscientious objector. And,
No doubt.
And see where things go. Because you really want this assignment? Okay, because now that you have it, I think the guardsmen are actually in danger also. Because I think if they get charged, like, they're in a no-win. They either get, beat up, run over, stomped on, or they fire. They fire. And it's a no-win either way. But the other aspect of it is, right, there's someone in politics said that public sentiment is everything. There is no fucking way public sentiment is on the side of Trump.
Is with you. No way.
There's no way. So that's why I feel like this can't, like, there's no outcome that can go well for him. Like, what if the protesters just all disappear and go home? Well, then he just looks stupid, right? He's like, what's with the moron, right? The cameras go away and everyone's like, what the fuck was that? You're a fucking moron. And you're a fascist because you were willing to deploy the troops. If there is a conflict, does he think the American people are all going to sit there and watch it on TV and go, yeah, of course he had to send in those troops. Look at how lawless it is. This is Stephen Miller's right. This is an insurrection going on in Los Angeles. Oh, yeah. The Latinos in Los Angeles were plotting an insurrection 3,000 miles away from D.C. at the Home Depot. Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, we're all going to the Home Depot for an insurrection.
Ludicrous.
Nothing holds up. So I just don't understand. I mean, Trump's a moron. This goes to show Trump's a moron, surrounded by fanatics who are the puppeteers. And I feel like he stepped in shit here. And he's going to have to taco his way out of it because he does not want this to escalate. Does he really think he's then calling the National Guard in New York? Because there's some shit going down in New York between protesters and ICE agents also. So is he sending them down to New York?
Yeah, I'm telling you what. So this is what I saw on social media this morning. A gentleman was recording a TikTok video and reading the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. And you know what it says? It guarantees the right of the people to bear arms, and it's interpreted by some as a safeguard against government tyranny. This interpretation suggests the right to bear arms is a means of self-defense against potential government overreach, allowing citizens to resist a tyrannical regime. Now, if this guy's willing to put that on social media with his face on it, okay, he is basically saying arm yourselves and you have the right to. He's giving people the permission structure that they need to arm themselves. And people are armed to the hilt already. We already got more guns than you
The
could shake a
NRA's been
stick at.
the NRA's been playing that card for decades, right?
Oh
All
yeah.
these militias and like the Bundy family in Idaho or wherever the fuck they were, right? Like
Right.
there's like white militias all over the country that are armed
No
to the
doubt.
gills because it just in case government overreaches.
Right.
Remember when states' rights used to matter? And the
Yes.
states had to be watching out for the federal government overreaching, and that was a
Right.
big
Huge.
well, us growing up Republican argument. Shit, the Civil War was a war over states' rights, according to fucking Confederate, right? It was just a states' rights thing. It wasn't about slavery, it was about states' rights.
Right.
So now the federal government's just going to barrel into California and not only threaten to not give them money anymore. Now it's martial law in California. So
Right.
there goes your state, your state's rights
Well,
are out the window too.
and here's the thing though, Brock, as well, when we talk about, arming yourselves, right? The Second Amendment and the NRA, they only want to see white America armed.
Yeah, of course.
They don't want to see black and brown America
Yeah,
armed,
you can't
right?
open
Because
carry with an AK-47 as a black man in
right,
Houston, but you sure can as a white man, right?
right. Just not too long ago, shortly after George Floyd, we had the Not Fucking Around crew out here. And they were marching with their weapons, lockstep, and they went to Kentucky to protest the Breonna Taylor shooting. And the leader of the Not Fucking Around coalition was promptly put in jail and charged with pointing his weapon at a federal officer. So we know they don't want to see black and brown people armed. And Southern California, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. There's some folks there who have some weapons, and they're black and brown. And I don't think they're afraid to use them, even against the National Guard. Because again, this is not, we're not shooting over turf and territory and colors. You fucking with my family.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going
Right?
to
This is
send
a
them. You're going to
different
send them to a
level.
prison, and I'm not going to know where they are, and you're going to
Right.
deport them to a unknown country,
Country.
not of their
Right.
origin. Like in my mind, if I'm one of those families that has someone who's being deported, who's caught up in this, I'm thinking they're being given a death sentence. I don't
No
think
doubt.
they're surviving this, right?
Right.
Like maybe they will, but I'm thinking they're being sent into the worst and most dangerous conditions in the world. No one's watching out for them. I don't even know if they're going to get fed and get water. God forbid, like a blanket to sleep on. And then
Right.
they're getting thrown in with anybody, the worst of other countries with
Yep.
no protection. So
And we
you got
still,
to decide, where am I fighting the fight? Am I fighting it right here on the streets? Because once they're gone and locked up, I may never see them again.
yep. And Brock, remember, this is Trump's America, right? Nobody is telling us why this is happening. Like why all of a sudden do we need armed troops? The National Guard. We didn't have this 6 months ago. Sleepy Joe was at the helm. It was Joe sleeping and missing all the riots and looting.
Gangs and crimes, right? Gangs and crimes. Gangs and crimes. But somehow we're deporting 3,000 people a day. They're all in gangs and crimes. We know this whole thing is white supremacy. This is
Right.
all a fraud. All the
Yep. It's
justifications,
all fake.
what Pam Bondi did when Abrego Garcia came back and engineered charges that everyone knows are full of shit, right? This
Yep.
is just one fraudulent action after another. This is Project 2025, whitening of America. This is Stephen Miller loves this shit, right? Like this is like Elon Musk on board with this shit too. So like, let's not forget that a-hole. So this is all bullshit. I mean, frankly, I'm really glad this stand is being taken.
Right.
I tweeted this kind of earlier today. I applaud the courage of the Latinos in
That
Los
part.
Angeles. They are out risking their bodies right now. And I really hope the rest of America, particularly white America, wakes up to this and is willing to get out there with them, because we've talked about like who's willing to get out there, right? What
Who's going to
risk
make a
are people
sacrifice?
willing to take for their democracy? And
Yep.
someone some group or some person, there'd been some people, there'd been some sporadic acts of courage, but this is like a collective one. And I just I mean, it's easy for me to say sitting on my couch, right? I want them to stay out there. I
No doubt.
want them to agitate because I think that they're shining the light on how fraudulent and how un-American the Trump regime is.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, last night, Trump was at a UFC fight when he put out a memo. Let that fucking sink in for just a minute. You're at a UFC fight. We got fucking civil unrest in one of our country's biggest cities, and you're at a UFC fight. But a memo came out saying that Title 10 was going to be the order that I was referring to earlier, that they did not meet any of the standards, right? To have the National Guard called out, right? And, we didn't have any of the predicate needed. And, they're saying that the National Guard is being called out to protect ICE agents from doing their jobs. Their job is bullshit. Their job is not is invading a garment factory to pluck workers to disappear off the street. Why aren't you under these overpass, wherever gangs hang out? Why aren't you there? Under the overpass, in the viaduct, wherever they have their meetings. Why aren't you there? I don't know where gang members hide out, but LAPD does.
So the agents who are armed and masked and keeping their identities cloaked in secrecy because they're so
Need protection.
embarrassed by the actions that they're doing during the day, and they still want to be like citizens that can go to their kids' Little League games at night, right? So they can't even acknowledge to the world the job they're doing needs federal protection. So we have to bring in a second set of armed troops to protect the masked first set. And I know behind that, fucking Hegseth's talking about sending in the Marines.
Right.
I'm just like, okay, fucking Marines, you go through all that training. You're the proudest of the proud and all that. This is what you're going to fucking do? This is what you're going to do. You're not deploying to find Bin Laden anymore, right? SEAL Team 6 is going into fucking Los Angeles to clear some streets, to clear that Home Depot. They're going to be going around the corner of the gardening tools section into the, the auto parts section to clear it out.
Operation.
So the ICE can come in and cuff that worker in the back.
Yeah, good luck sneaking up into the Home Depot parking lot and not be seen. Yeah, I mean, it makes no fucking sense. It is ludicrous. I mean, and it's frightening. So the LA Times talked to a Berkeley School of Law professor, and he says it certainly sends a message as to how this administration is going to respond to protests. It's very frightening to see this done. You're damn right it is.
Hold on, I'm stopping you right there. I'm stopping you right there. This is not how this administration responds to protests.
No,
I was at a protest 6 weeks ago.
Right.
With hundreds of other thousand old white people in New York City. This administration did not respond to that protest. This administration didn't even recognize that protest was going on. They ignored the protest. Police weren't even sent out for that protest. 4 cops drinking cups of coffee watched that protest. 100,000 people down Fifth Avenue. No, this is how this administration responds to protests by people of color.
Yeah. But now, Brock, remember, this was not a protest. This was a response.
A response, yeah.
To basically what amounts to kidnapping. That's what this was.
Yeah, there were no flyers. This was not a No King's Day.
This was not planned.
Obama birthday.
This was not planned.
Nothing. Of course, yeah. This was like, don't take my fucking cousin and send him to fucking Central Africa where he gets stuck in like a storage bin for a week because no one knows where to put him with no food and water, right? This is like, I'm doing something now because once they ship him to Sudan or to fucking El Salvador, I may never hear from him again.
Well, once they get him in the van.
Yeah.
Once they get him in the van. Yeah. They're not getting due process. They're not being brought in front of a judge. They're not given legal representation. So, what are they supposed to do? Because you know what happened? They started grabbing people out of that garment factory or at the Home Depot. Somebody got on the phone and said, hey, they just grabbed your cousin, brother, uncle, nephew. And people started running down there to see what the hell was going on. And next thing you know, you got 1,000 people saying, where's my people? Where's my cousin? Where's my sister?
And
You know,
even worse, right? Yeah, your 8-year-old kid.
shit, right, right. That they're snatching out of
They just
schools
snatched your
off
8-year-old
of bus
kid.
stops.
Yeah.
Right,
Your
right.
17-year-old kid on the bus stop on the way to like a volleyball match or on his way to fucking
Exactly.
graduation just got
Right,
snatched. You want to
right.
rile people up, right? Like you always tell me, fuck with their
Yep.
kids, right?
Exactly. Exactly. That'll get it done. And especially in the black and brown community, because people don't play about their kids. And see, in the white community, you've never had to worry about it, right? You've never had to worry about anybody doing anything untoward to your children under the guise of law enforcement. Right. And that's the issue here. Right. So now I'm hoping that well meaning white Americans are going to see this. Black folks are going to see this and say, shit, we'll be next if we don't do something and get in here. And we put together the multi ethnic, multicultural coalition that we've been screaming for. And we get to DC on June 14th and shut this bullshit down. We are less than a week away from the 14th, next Saturday, right? We need to be there to let people know this guy is not going to be able to get away with this, especially we're not going to pay for it as American
What an
taxpayers.
accelerant this week is also ahead of the 14th, where there are protests already scheduled throughout the country, right? Like it's just, I mean, it's going to be interesting because now brown people are out on the streets for one reason, white people have been out on the streets for other reasons. Never the two have combined.
But there's a common enemy.
Black America, as you've told me, is like, well, we're not going out front because we're going to get shot. You get the rubber
Right.
bullets, we get the real ones. So like, we're not fucking, leading the charge in front of you. Maybe we get some coming together this week. I'm really curious, and I'm watching closely to see like the white America reaction to all of
Right.
this. Who's
You
gonna
know what
want
I
their
haven't
family?
heard?
Who's gonna want their family members deployed to be a National Guardsman out on the streets in LA, shooting people who are like protesting these deportations that are
Inhumane.
already unpopular. Okay, so
Right.
these are already something like 2/3 of America, and remember, even the people that thought they voted for this didn't vote for
Didn't like
this,
it.
right? Oh, we didn't vote for this. We voted for that. We thought you were
Right.
just going to get the criminals and gangsters out here. Oh, well, now there's no due process and we don't even know who the criminals are versus just brown people being snatched. So
Right.
public sentiment's already moved beyond just 2/3 against it, right? Because it's kind of even eroded into the MAGA base.
Yep.
So now you layer the troops on top of this. I don't see that needle moving back. Like, oh, well,
Exactly.
now this makes sense. I voted for
Right.
this.
Right.
I voted for now the army going out to defend these deportations that I'm against. So I feel like it's almost going to become like an ADD issue
Oh my God, it's got
once
to be.
as the troops hit the street. And of course, the media is there, right? Because they think it's getting good ratings. So
Right.
finally, the media is covering it. So everybody's seeing it. Like even Fox. Can Fox ignore it? Can
And
Fox
Fox can't
possibly
make
ignore
up
it?
some. Yeah, they can't spin it. I mean, Holman announced the plan to send in the National Guard on Fox News.
Yeah, so they'll spin it. They'll probably bolster this is an insurrection and this is warranted theme. But
Right.
they'll show it because they also want the eyeballs, right? They know people are going to watch violence, right? Our country, we
Right.
love sex and violence, right? So we're going to get some violence and here's some violence and right, it's a story. It's as good a story as they have, right? The Musk thing's faded. Like this is the
Right.
story now. It's on the
Right.
other stations. They're worried that people might actually tune in to a different station.
And remember, it's all about the money. Got to
Yeah,
make the
I'll
money.
cover
You
it.
only make money with ratings. So that's what we've got to have, and that's what we're getting. And that's why we wanted Trump in office, because he does dumb shit like this, so that we can get people watching again, just like he did when he was killing, thousands of Americans per day because of his lack of response to the pandemic. So we've got just another, kettle of fish that this orange tub of goo has unleashed on the American people, and it's good TV. We're gonna get paid. I'm gonna get my quarterly bonus. And it's all about the money.
Mark, if there's a single shot fired from either side, I mean, it
Oh, bro.
changes the entire dynamic
Oh my
of
God.
in the country. I think
It'll be a
I
civil
don't know
war.
if I'm overstating it, but I feel like it moves everything into a next level scenario, right? Some people are saying just calling in the National Guard moves it to that. In a
Right.
legal sense, it does. For the talking heads, it does. But I'm talking about we keep coming back to the visceral video that America
Yep.
needs of tear gas and first rubber pellets. But if real
Flashbang.
shots ring out and there's bodies bleeding out on the streets and all the cameras are like, I mean, you don't come back from that. We don't come back from that as a country. We don't just like settle back to normalcy. And we're gonna have a fucking military parade in 7 days. So we're gonna honor the military that's just gone in and shot on their
Timing couldn't
own
have been better.
people. I mean, the
Right.
timing's fucking unbelievable.
Timing is horrific. And Brock, here's the thing too. We just watched this play out in the Vietnam documentary
Yeah.
on Netflix. Folks, if you want to know how it doesn't end well, right? For these National Guardsmen to be put in this position is horrific, right? For them to face, why would you go out, like you said, Brock, wait till you see the video of the National Guardsmen. They got on full gear like they are going into Ukraine.
Americans do not want to watch their military fire on their own
On
people.
other Americans.
Like it's not the viewing that we signed up for, right? It's just not like we don't buy into it. It's not a winning hand. It's such a loser if someone actually fires a fucking shot during all of this. I mean,
Right.
I'm a little dumbfounded that they followed through. I literally thought that Trump would back down. It would be noise and he wouldn't send the National Guard in.
Right.
And I feel like maybe it's just wishful thinking. Maybe there's a whole other side to this that I'm not getting, and I don't understand the American people. And there's going to be cheering in the streets and people waving flags and parades about the fact that the troops went into Los Angeles and like beat down the insurrection. I mean, I guess there's another side to this coin that I just don't understand as my liberal fucking East Coast elite, mind can't get my arms around like who would be cheering this on. But there's so much racism.
No one.
Maybe people are just happy if they see some brown people get shot, but I still don't feel like that's most of the country.
No.
And
No.
maybe that's just like Pollyannish thinking, but I think I think this is a losing play for Trump. I really do.
It's gotta be. I mean, Hegseth is like you mentioned, warning about sending in active duty Marines, right?
Where are
To
those
do
active
what?
duties right now? So does that mean Camp Pendleton? Does that
Pendleton,
mean
yeah.
the same guys that I saw getting deployed on 9/11 when I was on the 405? No, the 5 on that morning? Literally, they're driving by me on the road on the morning of 9/11. Those guys who were
Right.
deployed
We're headed to the airport to go half a world away.
yeah, and that morning to protect airports, cities, like everyone
Right.
was deployed. We didn't know how big an attack it was, right?
Right.
Those guys now are going to take that same ride from San Diego to LA because there's protesters on the streets trying to protect their families from getting carted away by ICE. And
Don't pass the smell test.
that's what they're going to be rolling trucks.
Doesn't
Are they
pass
going
the
to
test.
roll some tanks, or are we just rolling infantry? I just want to know how far we're going with this.
Yep.
Oh my God, Mark! I mean, this is all right.
This is our
The
worst
day's
nightmare.
finally come. Sooner rather than later. Some people are like, no, everything's got to be tamped down and cooler heads prevail and this and that. I'm like, you know what? This is fucking inevitable. It's been inevitable since the day Trump got elected. It's the Project 2025 playbook. Once they decided these deportations and the whitening of America was a key part of the strategy, and it didn't matter who anyone was, and there wasn't going to be due process. I mean, we were leading to this path eventually. America, it took the Latinos in fucking LA to finally light the fire, right? Like,
Yep.
America's not going to sit back and just, I hope.
Not at all.
I hoped at some point it was going to be enough, right? The corruption, the kleptocracy, the loss of the Department of Education, cutting of science, the cutting of healthcare, the stealing of money from the coffers, right? Finally, maybe we got something that's lit a real spark and jostles people out of the complacency.
Hey, Brock, I'm going through this article. You know what I don't see? I don't see any response from our elected officials. None of them were quoted in this article. This is from the LA Times, one of the biggest fucking newspapers in the country. I don't see any quotes from our elected leaders except for Gavin
You
Newsom.
think they didn't talk to him? I mean, of course, Newsom's been out pretty aggressive. I mean, I assume
Yeah.
Karen Bass is saying shit. If they're threatening to arrest her, she must be visible in some way, right? Like
But have we not
Chuck
gone
Schumer.
past the threshold of impeachable offenses yet?
Oh my God! Yeah, is Chuck Schumer gonna? Chuck Schumer's drafting
Penning a
a
letter.
strongly
He's penning a letter.
that he's gonna put in the mail. So he's
Yeah.
like going out to
Snail
the
mail it.
mailbox. It'll be received at the White House by Thursday or Friday.
Snail mail it.
Maybe. I don't even know.
Fucking thing will be over by the time his letter gets there.
Jasmine Crockett will have already given 190 interviews.
Oh my
and been
God,
in
yes.
11 cities. AOC probably would have had 4 rallies by the time Chuck Schumer's letter works its way up the street.
No doubt.
Mark, we got a lot of stuff today. Hey, before we hop, Mike, like a little quick hit for you, just to pile on how bad mainstream media is. I don't know if you saw the story of Terry Moran, the ABC News correspondent.
No.
Who, are you familiar with him?
Yes.
Who got
Very much so.
suspended this morning
Really?
because he put out a tweet on his personal account talking about how hateful Stephen Miller is and how Stephen Miller is fueled by hate. And even though Trump is hateful, Trump in the end is fueled by like self-glorification. So
Right.
his hate is kind of a means to an end of getting to some glorification. But for Stephen Miller, it's more like part of his DNA.
Right.
And just kind of threw that out there as being like the Trump whisperer who's behind this policy, which, oh, by the way, I find a extremely dead-on, spot-on analysis of Stephen Miller. ABC News suspended him
ABC
because
News.
it's under review now about his commentary. And I guess now the question is it a personal view of a public figure? But so first of all, I'm just fucking pissed because it's typical bullshit, right? Disney, this is why Disney shouldn't own a news organization because
Exactly.
they're worried about shit like this. Like, just get out of the game. Don't even pretend
Right.
you're in the news business. Like,
Right. Spell it off.
go do theme parks and kids animated
Right.
movies. Like, stop with that.
Do
You're part of
cruises.
the news organization. The second part of it is I just get down to is like, is Terry Moran allowed to criticize Vladimir Putin? Is he allowed to criticize Bin Salman after he carves up Khashoggi?
MBS, yep.
Is he allowed to say something about, I don't know what goes on with the Uyghurs in China? Is he,
Right.
in essence, is he allowed to criticize foreign leaders?
Right.
You would think so, right? As a newscaster, we can't criticize like despots and right and.
Well, again, is that going to...
Okay, but now we're not allowed to criticize leadership in our own country?
Right.
Like, where's the line? Who's allowed to be criticized? And he's
Well,
suspended?
Brock, remember, this is going to impact the bottom line. We can't have these people who are not seen as going along with the program. You got to go along to get along. So we can't have anything that impacts the bottom. It's always about the
It might
money.
hurt the cruise line business, right? The Disney cruise might get hurt. They might lose some of their docking rights, right? In like Boca Raton or something, right? So it could hurt the other business. Hey, no, we don't want to crack down on our movies because they're going to put a tariff on our movies or they won't let us export them overseas. So we got to protect that side of the business. So hey, newsman, you can say what you want about foreign leaders, but you can't criticize Stephen Miller. Hey, Stephen Miller is a bridge too far. You can't say that Stephen Miller is hateful. That's blasphemy.
And Brock, if we had known Stephen Miller prior to his injection into the spotlight with this Trump regime and Trump 1.0, would anyone have ever taken him seriously? Like, everything I've read about him, I mean, he was looked at with scorn and disdain throughout his life.
Even his family. He's a fucking Jewish.
Even his family doesn't like him.
His family's like, hey, you fucking idiot. If what you say was in place, our entire family would be dead because we wouldn't have even gotten into this country. Like, what the fuck are you even talking about, you fucking racist idiot? I mean, his uncle tears him a new asshole anytime anyone will put
every chance he gets.
Every chance he gets. Because nothing changes, right? He's just become more of an asshole. But to think that a newscaster in America It's just like how Don Lemon got like basically carved out because he ripped Vivek
Yeah.
Ramaswamy, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And these are not journalists who are fly by night guys. These are guys, Don Lemon's been around, right? Terry Moran has been
he's been
around.
around.
Got to
He's
start
not a
on,
young pup. He didn't start
no, he's
days
been
ago.
around, seasoned veteran, right? And you're going to take a guy like that off your front lines. He just did an interview with Trump not too long ago, right? It was testy. But it's supposed to be. You're supposed to push these guys. You're not supposed to be part of the checks and balances. You're supposed to be part of the system to
Truth to
help
power.
work for the people.
To power. So to me, it's like just another embarrassment. I just say it's just another reason why I just will not watch any of those shows ever again. Like I'm never even going to tune in because I know that they're basically self-policing their
Yeah,
own language from the
yeah,
top. You know,
yeah. All in an effort to make money.
yeah. So they're eroding our
Yep,
free speech because they're
yep.
supposed to be at the front lines of it, and instead, you know, they're in the moderation game because they're afraid that if they say something too aggressive, that it could cost them
Right.
business somewhere. So that's just like another aggravating part of this whole thing. And I'm really gonna be curious to see how these protests
We're
get covered, right?
right,
How they get covered. Because if the right wins, and they usually win these fucking wordsmith wars, like
right,
the narrative will be that it's an insurrection that had to
right,
be put down. And look what
right,
we sent our heroes stepped in to tamp
right.
down an insurrection.
Which is all
And it
bullshit.
was just all bullshit.
All bullshit. Nobody funded, the angry father, his trip over to the Home Depot to try to find his son yesterday. Right? Unlike the loads of buses
Yeah.
that,
Soros didn't fund it.
yeah,
Antifa wasn't involved,
yeah,
right?
none of that. Unbelievable, bro. All right, dude, let's keep our eyes wide open on this one as we count down to Obama Appreciation Day on June 14th.
It's going to be an
So,
interesting 24 hours ahead of us. So we'll have a lot
no
to
doubt,
talk about tomorrow. Okay,
no
Mark,
doubt.
always a
All
pleasure.
right, bro. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
talk to you tomorrow.
Peace.